about 80 kilometers east of San Francisco.
CB Aviation, this Cory?
A pilot embarks on a risky journey to change his own destiny.
No, you don't understand. We're set to depart tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Cory Bengtzen recently walked away from a lucrative car dealership to follow his passion for aviation.
I knew there was a big risk, and I knew there was a very good chance that I wasn't going to make the money that I was making in the car business, but I wanted to do something that I loved.
Cory's new job, selling and delivering small second-hand planes. In the industry, it's called ferry flying. And only pilots with nerves of steel need apply. They fly anything, anywhere, anytime. From single-engine planes, through turboprops, and multi-million-dollar jets. If it has wings, they'll take it, no matter how far.
Well, we're not in Kansas anymore, man.
Or how dangerous.
Bro, that's bad.
It's a radical career change, but Cory is committed.
I'm the type of guy that when I decide I'm going to do it, I'm going to find a way to make it work. I never look back. I don't want to get back in the car business. I've basically put all of my eggs in this one basket, and I will make it work.
And here's the plane that Cory hopes will jumpstart his dream. This Merlin III, a sleek turboprop built in 1980. Cory bought it in California and sold it to a customer in Australia. To pick up his check, he's gonna have to fly the plane on a treacherous journey across the Pacific Ocean. The problem is, the Merlin doesn't have the fuel capacity. So Cory's hired a team of aviation mechanics to install an auxiliary fuel system inside the cabin. A retrofit that will turn the plane into a potential flying bomb.
So let's go and check the system out. Now we're gonna stick in the aircraft.
Everything's new and unfamiliar, especially this jury-rigged backup fuel system.
So let's say that you want to use the right tank first. What you do then is that you open this valve here, and you open this valve here.
Okay.
The fuel control panel was built with a mix of aircraft, automotive, and plumbing parts.
Put this the way it should be, okay? It's gonna be this way.
And these two aluminum tanks will be installed in the cockpit, each filled with over 300 liters of fuel.
Let's disconnect this one here
It really looks kind of rinky-dink.
and put it on this side.
You're starting to make me a little nervous. You're thinking about that there's going to be 9 hours we're going to be over water, and we've got to control the fuel tanks on top of that. I want to make sure it works. I want to make sure it works right, and that we completely understand how to work this.
So what happens if we had something with the airplane go wrong, where we lost power, where it wasn't powering either of the inverters?
Let's say you lose these two here. You lose everything on the aircraft and pressurization. You don't want that, in trouble.
That's one of the scariest part about being a ferry pilot, is you're in an unfamiliar airplane going somewhere very dangerous.
Most of the people survive. You know, some of them die, of course, but most of them survive.
This will be a steep learning curve for Cory. And it just got even steeper, because he's landed another job.
Perfect. Okay. In the aircraft delivery business, you never know when the plane's going to be ready. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 flights that come together at the same time, which has happened here.
Cory was hired to move a single-engine Cessna 206, but this one is over 35 years old. So he's hired a top-notch team to take on the flight for him.
Well, you get a good feeling to see if she's ready to go across the water, which we need her to be ready to go across the water. So.
Bob Rasky has logged over 23,000 hours in every kind of flying machine, from commercial airliners to fighter jets.
I'll let you get up.
Okay.
You're younger and more agile, so.
His co-pilot, Yasmina Platt, has a fraction of that experience. Just 600 hours in small planes.
That looks good there.
But she's hungry for more.
Be here and going flying? Awesome. There's nothing better in the world than to go fly.
Yeah, babe, he's gonna treat us well, right? You're gonna treat us good?
This will be the trip of a lifetime. A flight over 10,000 kilometers long, from California to Poland, across the frigid waters of the North Atlantic. And they've never flown together.
Clear, bro!
This first test flight will be a great way to break the ice.
The engine sounds good though so far.
It's very solid.
Anything else, Captain?
Nope. We're good to go. Gotta do this.
I'm gonna need to learn this one.
It's just one of many. One of many.
Okay, all right.
Whoa.
But just minutes into the test flight,
Look at that thing.
That doesn't respond.
the old Cessna is misbehaving.
Oh, it's not working?
Nope.
Uh-oh.
The left aileron trim is not responding.
Well, we tested them on the ground. They did work then.
The aileron trim is a hinged flap on the edge of the wing. It controls the plane's rolling motion. With the left trim stuck, the plane is rolling to the right.
They're coming down.
Okay, so descend.
Bob decides to land. But he fights to control the plane.
Good job.
Okay, we're down.
Could just be old. If it can't break, it will.
Back in the hangar, the mechanic discovers serious evidence of neglect.
You know, it could be caused just by the age of the aircraft or just the fact that it's been sitting for so long. We thought we had a safe airplane.
It will take some detective work to figure out why the aileron trim got stuck, and whether this is an isolated incident or a sign of even bigger problems. Either way, this old lady is grounded.
You want me to keep running it?
Yeah.
From the safety angle, this delay is unavoidable. But for Cory's new business, it's a killer.
Every day we delay it, it costs us money with pilot fees and hotels and everything else. And so from a business standpoint, I'm always pushing the pilot.
With the Cessna in the hangar, Cory is pushing hard to make sure his mechanics keep his first delivery job on schedule. The Merlin 3 turboprop.
They're away anything. Be careful when you walk out. Sure.
The auxiliary fuel tanks are ready to be installed.
Just hang on.
Flying this tricked-out aircraft is going to take a special kind of pilot. Someone who won't get spooked by a couple of fuel tanks sitting where the passengers are supposed to be. And someone with enough experience to help Cory on the tricky Pacific crossing.
Let's get out of here.
It's a job for Captain Randy McGehee.
All right, let's get out of here.
He'll be Cory's partner on this flight.
This flight will be the first time Cory and I have ever flown together. Yeah, it's not normal to take such a big, difficult flight together as your first flight. Normally you ease into it with a more routine little flight, but we're kind of going for it on this.
Now that Cory's got a real pro on board, the full magnitude of this challenge is kicking in.
At this weight and at these speeds, the airplane's going to be very hard to control. So we don't control the plane, we've got no chance at all.
Most of the added weight is fuel.
And now the tricky part, not to spill.
Smell that jet A.
And with 2 extra fuel tanks as front row passengers, this plane delivery is definitely not business as usual.
Now, this is the first time I've ever fueled an airplane from the inside.
But just when they're finally ready to go, a heavy fog rolls in.
This is really low. We can't take off like this. Not with the weight that we're at. Not with what we're trying to do today.
I don't want to be stuck here. We need to get this airplane down there. We can almost see the control tower now. You've got different...
Control tower? Control tower's right there. All I see is a bunch of milky white fog. You can't even see the taxiway or the runway.
Cory and Randy haven't even left the ground yet, and already they're in a standoff.
We're overweight. We're not gonna have great climb performance. We've got mountains out here. I mean, if things go really bad, we could end up dead. We're gonna go when it's clear, and that's when we're gonna go. All right, and that's the end of it.
All right. We're not going to do any more of these flights. If it takes us months to get the airplanes to our clients, they're not going to want to buy anything from us, and then we'll end up going bankrupt. We need to get going now.
Cory needed an experienced pilot for this job, and Randy McGehee fit the bill.
So we need 3,800 pounds aside to fill it up.
But Cory's the boss, and that can mean competing agendas.
When it's outside of the airplane, then Cory's the boss and he's making the decisions. I follow his lead, but when it comes to inside the cockpit, I'm the boss and I'm calling the shots. And we're gonna do what I say we're gonna do.
Clear. Departure's clear. Clear.
Randy didn't like the look of the weather and delayed the flight's departure. But now that the fog is cleared, they're all set to go.
It's hot out here. We don't have as much wind in our faces yesterday, but we're gonna take off. In the event of an engine failure, we got a nice long runway here, so once I have the airplane under control, you can call tower and let them know. Otherwise, we'll return here for a visual land.
Careful takeoff.
Just gonna use all the runway we can.
Normally, they'd be in the air by now, but they're halfway down the runway, and the plane isn't lifting off.
100.
115, 120.
The heavy turboprop sucks up 1,200 meters of runway, a lot more than it should.
Plane is just a pig, you know? No, that's not fair. We're just always so overhead. Yeah, we're 15,000 pounds right now.
They should be climbing 4 times faster.
The winds down here are actually less. Our fuel flow is higher because we're so much lower than we thought, but we don't have the performance to climb up there.
At this lower altitude, the denser air puts more drag on the plane, which burns more fuel. They'll need to climb up to where the air is thinner and keep an eye on the fuel gauges if they want to make it all the way to Australia. Back in California, Cory's second delivery is running behind schedule. The aging Cessna still needs a little TLC before she can take off on the transatlantic trip to Poland.
Okay, we're going where Bob is staying.
And co-pilot Yasmina Platt takes advantage of the downtime to prepare for the dangerous journey ahead.
I just want to see the survival equipment that he has. I'm a little worried about the weight and balance on the plane.
The flying time from California to Poland is about 70 hours, going across the continental US and above the icy waters of the North Atlantic Ocean.
Oh my God. You're kidding me. We're taking all this?
There's more. I just don't want to scare you.
There's more?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Bob Rasky flies commercial airliners, but for 25 years, he was a U.S. Air Force instructor pilot, an F-16 flight lead, and a combat search and rescue pilot.
Sure, okay, so like...
He believes in coming prepared.
See what we got here. I want to see, like, if we can prioritize some of this. Okay, I understand some of the stuff is required, right? Like the rafts and stuff, which we don't even have here, which that's going to take up a lot of weight and space, too.
Because if it was single engine over the Atlantic, there were no options, you know?
I think he is a little bit obsessed, but that's what he's trained for, and he got military training, which I didn't, you know? And he's probably been in situations where he might have gotten scared.
We have to take the required items.
Sure.
And that's actually a lot of these things are required out.
Even a U.S. flag?
Yes, even the U.S. flag, because this can give you motivation out there, give yourself a sense of, I'm gonna live,
Wave it.
I'm gonna make it, you know? Her concern is the airplane gets there on time, meeting a delivery schedule, and that's a very valid concern. My concern is the plane just gets there, period. In the North Atlantic, you know, with 10 to 20-foot seas, I mean, it's gonna be not easy to get that plane stopped straight ahead and just get out. I'm envisioning something hit, and we may even go upside down.
Right.
And that's the training we've gone through.
It's really kind of scaring me.
For Yasmina, the idea of a crash landing in the North Atlantic has just become chillingly real.
Once Bob started talking about, you know, we really need to take this and, you know, we're gonna use this here, it just kind of started making me really very nervous, to be honest with you.
The next morning, Yasmina gives the plane a thorough safety check.
It's very serious. We're losing fuel. And, you know, that's just on the ground, but if we did go up in the air, who knows if we would be losing even more fuel.
A few hours ago, she thought Bob was being overly cautious, but the fuel leak has proved him right.
You see how it's leaking, right? Like through the fuselage?
Uh-huh, yeah.
That one's really weird. And then it goes all the way back, and then it's dripping down here. So really, we have two. So frustrating.
The airplane mechanic takes a look and doesn't like what he sees.
You could have caught fire when you're flying with the engine running. I mean, your exhaust is right here, right next to where it's leaking.
Yeah, fire is the second thing I'm mostly scared of. The combination of fire and ocean would not be good. Yeah. Although, I think I would still put it down, because I think I would still rather go down in the ocean than be burned.
Fixing this new problem means more delays. That's okay with Bob, because with his kind of experience, he's got nothing to prove.
You know, fuel, hot, metal, not a good combo, so we don't play around with that. The plane's not gonna move until it's fixed. I'm not under the clock, I don't have any pressure. We wanna get plane, us, there safely, #1 goal.
Almost 2,000 kilometers away, off the coast of California, Cory and Randy are fast approaching the halfway point on the first leg of their journey. So, it's time to make a critical decision.
Our fuel burn is higher by 500 to 600 pounds, which is half our reserves. One more strike and we're pretty much out of the game. We're really gonna have to consider turning around.
Ferry pilots call it the point of no return, when there's enough fuel left in the tanks to turn around, but if they go any further, there's no coming back.
This is literally the point. We gotta get it right for real.
They've burned more fuel than they expected, and the auxiliary fuel tanks don't have gauges, so Cory estimates the amount of fuel they have left by checking the tanks manually.
We're burning more fuel than we expected to burn. We're 8,000 feet less than we thought.
Randy goes through another set of calculations before making his decision.
So yeah, that's 70 more gallons an hour, and we're looking at almost 8 hours. So that leaves us with 300 in the tank. But the winds are gonna die down and we're gonna do better on this. We're gonna make it up. We're good, we're going, we're going.
Randy's taking a calculated risk. But that's what this business is all about. And this time, it pays off. Today, at least, it looks like the Sharks won't be chowing down on ferry pilots for lunch.
We're gonna make it, man. Nice job, El Capitan.
And now, they're dropping into their first pit stop.
Hawaii, here we come. And so we're gonna land with a little over an hour of fuel.
Just a few hours ago, Cory wasn't so sure they were going to make it. Now, he's happy that he put Randy in the driver's seat.
Gear coming down. Got the runway in sight. Slap set. Hydraulic pressures in the green. Prop sync is off. Nicely done. It's a nice landing though, Randy.
Holy crap, we made it.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
In Hawaii, they get the traditional greeting. But Cory and Randy are on the lookout for the gas man.
I don't care if we got fuel spilling out.
We don't care if you spill a little bit. We're gonna measure, and we wanna get a precise amount of how much fuel he's putting in, both tanks, so we can then subtract how much fuel we burned over the first leg, and so we know exactly how much fuel we burned.
They made the first leg from California to Hawaii with just 1 hour of fuel left in the tanks. Next stop, Pago Pago in American Samoa. And this time, they want to be dead sure they won't run out of fuel before they get there.
Yeah, let's get out of here because I can tell the way the air feels, it's really hot and humid. So as the day progresses, that air's gonna heat up and those thunderstorms are building. Yeah, let's get the hell out of here.
Back in California, mechanics have sunk more than 10 hours into the Cessna. Now they think the old plane is good to go.
Hopefully that's the last thing that's gonna break on this plane.
Yeah, I'll never want to see this one again.
I'm just trying to get the airplane ready, and so now it's time to go.
That is beautiful.
And if the weather holds up, Bob and Yasmina can finally take off and start clocking some serious flight time.
Heck, you know, crossing the Atlantic is much more exciting. In a small airplane, it's going to give me a whole different perspective of aviation. And along the way, I'll be thinking, you know, how beautiful the scenery is, but also how deadly it could be.
And there are few places in the world so vast, unpredictable, and unforgiving as the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really big for my career. We're probably gonna put about 50 hours on the airplane between the test flights and the flights themselves. To this day, when I see some of these airplanes, it's like, wow.
We went ahead, went out, did the run up and everything, props fixed, fuel straighter's good to go, so you guys are ready?
Thank you.
Take care.
Appreciate
We'll see
it.
you.
Yeah, we're so excited. It's starting to really become true.
All right, we're good.
Good to go?
Good to go.
The Cessna lifts off, beginning the first leg of a long journey. Destination, Poland, via the east coast of the United States.
So engine sounds pretty strong, right?
It does, I like it.
It's gonna be like 7 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours of it.
Yeah, so there's the Golden Gate.
Wow, absolutely beautiful day in San Francisco Bay. Now look, if guys can make it from Alcatraz and swim to the shore and survive, then we can make it in the middle of the North Atlantic if we need to.
You want to try it before we go?
Like you would.
399 can take off from center 1.
Oh.
Whoa.
20 minutes out, the old Cessna runs into a patch of rough air.
Whoa. Still, we're getting this turbine. Whoa.
The first sign of trouble ahead.
Whoa.
Any rougher, these winds could do some serious damage.
Okay, your seatbelt on? Good?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
Bob decides to climb higher, hoping to escape the danger above the clouds.
Hang on. Okay, going up to 1,000, right?
Yes.
Oh, hold on. Oh. This plane just can't climb, you know? I think after we top this one, we'll get a little better ride.
Overweight and loaded down with fuel, the Cessna struggles to reach clear skies.
Come on, baby. Bring us up there.
This nice old machine. Hang in there.
Cool.
Okay.
There we go.
In the clear, in the clear.
At this altitude, the aircraft is out of the danger zone.
No, whoa, it's clear ahead now. Woo! I like it.
6,000 miles to go, okay?
Yay!
But all it takes is one short moment for everything to change.
Oh, what's that, man? Okay. Yeah, I got the airplane.
Oh my God.
As soon as they reach their cruising altitude, a heavy stream of fuel starts flowing out of the right wing.
Hey, Center, this is 2192 Quebec.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna need to divert to Santa Barbara or the nearest airport right now.
Is this an emergency?
Yeah, we have, looks like a leaking fuel tank,
1-2 Quebec, unable forward, your souls on board.
2, souls on board.
1-2 Quebec, roger that. Heading's going to take you to the south end for the airplane.
Leak, it's still running. I wish there was a way that we could stop it from coming in.
The closest airport is in Santa Barbara, 10 minutes away.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about electrical fire.
Absolutely.
That would just not be good at all.
Fire in the air, a pilot's worst fear. And with fuel pouring out of the Cessna's tank, all it'll take is one spark to turn the cabin into a fireball.
It's really, like, pretty bad.
Okay, so it is leaking pretty good back there, okay?
Yeah.
Bob and Yasmina have to get their wheels on the ground before they're blown out of the sky.
Okay, I got us going towards Santa Barbara right now.
All right, and I have Santa Barbara on the GPS as well, so we can just, use that.
Okay.
You got the airplane, right?
Out of the airplane, we're heading towards Santa Barbara.
They're aiming for an emergency landing.
So you know, since you are leaking fuel, we are going to roll the equipment for you.
Okay, keep bringing me in. Wow, it's coming to their door. Okay, so what's the distance to Santa Barbara right now?
20 miles.
Will you be able to make the descent from your present position?
We can.
On the ground, emergency response units rush to the airstrip, preparing for the worst. They're on the ground, but still not out of danger. Bob unscrews the fuel cap to release pressure and explosive fumes from the tank. As the emergency crew takes over, Yasmina finally allows herself to think about how close they came to total disaster.
This could have been really bad. We could have had an electrical fire in in a second. And imagine on top of that, it would have happened over the water. Now we're really screwed. Now we have an engine on fire, and the only place we can go is the water. That's all that you're thinking, really.
Halfway across the Pacific Ocean, just south of the equator, Cory and Randy are flying straight into a dangerous roller coaster ride with a very scary name, the Intertropical Convergence Zone.
This is really dangerous. Turbulence down here is extreme. There are like little bombs going off everywhere.
It's like a deadly beltway that circles the globe, where warm sea temperatures lower the surface air pressure and create a massive, violent mixture of wind surges, clouds, and rainfall.
So we're either gonna have to punch through, or we're gonna have to divert a couple 100 miles, and I don't think we got the fuel for that. Holy crap. Feel that? Well, we get severe turbulence, especially with how heavy we are. The wing can be damaged. I'm gonna slow it down here. Okay.
Randy cuts back on the throttle and reduces their speed, but the wind resistance will cost them fuel.
In case we run into any really bad bumps, we won't break our airplane.
They've traveled more than 6,000 kilometers since leaving Hawaii, and after a quick refuel in American Samoa, they're nearing their next pit stop in New Caledonia. So Cory tries to contact the small island's airport.
Damn it. Why is this thing not working?
But the signal goes dead.
There's no one out there. Freaking A, man.
His last option is the satellite phone.
You're not gonna believe this. The runway's closed.
Our runway at New Caledonia is closed? Are you messing with me?
No, I'm not. She said that the runway's closed and it's not gonna be open until at least 0530.
You're serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
All right.
I can't believe this. Jesus.
It's starting to look like Cory and Randy are flying on borrowed time. On the other side of the Pacific Ocean, back in California, the tired old Cessna with a leaky fuel tank is going in for yet another checkup.
You can bring it over this way a little more.
The leak forced Bob and Yasmina to make an emergency landing, but it could just as easily have blown them out of the sky.
You see right where the nipple goes into it, see at the base, right at the...
The plane's two main fuel tanks are made of thick rubber and mounted inside each wing.
Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah, no, the whole nipple is cracked off. You can really see it now. Here, it's supposed to be behind the strut, which would be a negative pressure area.
That probably means the bladder is deteriorated inside, too, as well.
The tank probably hadn't been kept full, so the tank is made out of rubber, and it dries out.
An old mothballed airplane coming out of storage can become a lethal booby trap for even the best of pilots.
If it had happened over the Atlantic Ocean, it would have been ugly, because there's no place to land there.
Our first impression of her, let's put it that way, is not very good. She just needs to treat us a little better. At this point, we're kind of low, you know, on energy and on confidence.
Across the Pacific Ocean, above New Caledonia, pilots Randy McGehee and Cory Bengtzen are circling above a small airport.
There's our island right there, huh? Runway is close.
They have no choice but to stay in the air and keep burning precious fuel.
Close the runway in the middle of the ocean where we have no other options for maintenance. It didn't tell us until now. I don't want to sit out here and hold for an hour and find out that they're not going to open it.
Randy and Cory have no idea why the landing strip is closed. If there's a problem with the runway, ground control is not saying.
Really puts a lot of stress on us. I mean, with this runway down, we have to divert. All of a sudden, fuel, where we're sitting nice and fat with it, all of a sudden it becomes a major issue.
So Randy radios in a request.
We'd like to descend for landing, 300 Alpha Lima.
So, what are your intentions?
We'd like to descend for landing, 300 Alpha Lima.
Now runway is open. Call me back on the right-hand downwind, 11.
Only moments after denying permission to land, the New Caledonia flight tower opens the runway. Crisis averted.
Thanks for putting me in the middle of nowhere, buddy.
An ocean away on the west coast of the United States.
That's what it should look like.
That's what it should look like.
Mike the mechanic is showing off a brand new fuel bladder to Bob and Yasmina.
That would be what I would call an accident waiting to happen. It's lucky that you had 150 gallons on board.
The new fuel tank can be installed in less than a day. But now the pilots are wondering if the old plane is hiding any more dangerous secrets.
You know, once we start going over the ocean, we can't have these issues. If we had that going on yesterday, we would have been on the water.
You know, from our perspective there, I'm starting to feel a little bit like on a train that's losing parts along the way. So the bottom line is if we don't like the direction the airplane goes here in the next day or so, then we say no, period.
Bob gets in touch with the boss.
Hey, we're down here at Santa Barbara, and
he's hoping he can convince Cory to pay for another complete inspection.
You know, this is hitting the third strike here, so we're not moving further till it's totally exonerated and checked.
I'm glad you guys are okay, and I'm glad you guys got the plane on the ground safely, but we need to get it back in the air. The company needs it in Poland as soon as possible.
Personally, I'm not comfortable moving forward with this airplane until it's thoroughly checked by an independent source again.
We're hired to move the airplane. We're not hired to do additional inspections. This aircraft has already had 2 previous inspections and deem it safe, so I don't know why we're doing additional inspections and wasting more time when we've got the skydive company in Poland super frustrated wanting their plane right now.
Cory's time is Cory's money, And he knows that if a good mechanic looks hard enough, he can always find something to fix.
We're surrounded by this concept of go, go, go. Time is something I can control just by saying yes or no. And by saying no, it gives me the time to make sure that everything's right. And it's about being right.
But Cory's not all business. He's also a pilot. So he finally chooses to listen to his better instinct and agrees to the additional round of inspections.
Because this is our last good check, you know, and you guys have been all over it, so.
Yep, no problem.
And if it costs Cory,
good.
At least it keeps Bob happy.
I was a mechanic in the military, and they're gonna feel that pressure from me all the way until we go, because we are not departing unless I feel happy that the airplane's good to go and ready.
Over 10,000 kilometers away, Cory can now shift his attention back to his own delivery.
Yeah, it was a little stressful in many parts of the flight, but be ready for a cocktail tonight.
The corporate turboprop is now only 1,000 kilometers from its final destination, Sydney, Australia.
This is it, man. Going into Sydney here. I'm a little tired right now, but I can't wait to do it again. Holy crap, that's not good. That light means we have 10 minutes left of fuel. Holy shit.
The warning light indicates that the transfer fuel pump is malfunctioning and their auxiliary fuel is not getting to the left engine.
I don't want to be freaking swimming in the ocean, dude.
They have 10 minutes of fuel left in that engine. When it runs dry, the engine will fail.
We're expecting the left side, that's going to be this switch. Fuel shut-off switch, we're going to close. Hydraulic shut-off switch, close.
With one engine down, the plane will lose altitude, and Randy will have to ditch in a controlled crash landing on the water.
Right now, at any time if it's going to go. It's been 10 minutes. Fuel pressure steady, fuel flow steady. All indications are normal right now. Feel that?
The low vibration reverberates through the plane. It sounds like they just lost the left engine.
Oh, maybe we still show we have fuel. That's something. That thing scared the crap out of me. Come on, baby.
The minutes pass. The engines continue to fire. The problem seems to be a faulty warning light.
Thank God. It's the longest 10 minutes of my life. Yeah. I think we're out of the danger zone, so let's just keep going ahead here, okay? Okay, awesome.
Back in the United States, a leaky fuel tank has been replaced. And now Bob and Yasmina think they might be able to coax the old plane into taking off and heading out for the long haul across the ocean.
So Mike and Kim, would you take this airplane to Poland now when it leaves the hangar?
Sure. The two pilots have been trying to put California in their rearview mirror for over a week now.
It's good to catch all these things before we go, because my confidence goes better now.
And I'll tell you, once we make it to Midland with no issues, then I'll feel even better.
Well, we still got 3,000 miles to go. It's a long way.
Another issue in this next leg, that's probably it for me.
But it looks like today might be the day. The mechanics have signed off on the plane, and the pilots are ready to take the aging Cessna across the continental U.S. with 2 pit stops, one in Texas and the other in Tennessee. By nightfall, they should be in Rhode Island.
I'm just to the point that it's like I value my life more than one trip, so We'll see what happens, but hopefully, you know, we don't have any more issues with it.
On the other side of the Pacific Ocean.
We're over land, holy.
Cory and Randy have made it to the finish line of their 12,500-kilometer journey to Sydney, Australia.
Thank God.
The Merlin 3 corporate turboprop will be Cory's first international delivery.
Nicely done. Woohoo!
Cory knows he couldn't have done it without Randy.
People can say whatever they want about it. I mean, you and I did it. We brought this thing across an ocean. Fuel problems, airplane problems, weather problems, with just little teeny postage stamps of land in between. A plane that's not made to do that. And we did it, you know? What a trip.
I feel great. I got goosebumps right now. It's a fun trip, great trip, good to be here. It was an adventure of the lifetime.
Minutes after touchdown, Cory gets ready to meet a happy customer. And for the first time since he took off, he's starting to feel confident that his new business is going to fly.
Very excited to see this airplane. I can't wait to see his face. He's going to be very happy with it.
This airplane, all in all, is a very nice aircraft.
Wow.
I think it exceeds all of his expectations.
Thanks so much. It's going to sit on my desk. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Hope it was worth the wait there, you know?
I thought it was just going to be, you know, sit up there and set the autopilot and read a magazine, hang out. And that definitely was not the case. This trip is probably one of the most dangerous trips you can do.
Back up north, Bob and Yasmina have made it to Rhode Island.
We are here. It's nice to
Good job.
touch ground.
Very good, very good, very good. Here.
Yeah, it was good flight.
You did very nice.
And she did as well.
So how you feeling about the plane, man?
A lot better.
But their confidence will be short-lived.
I'll show you the filter over here. This is all, it's some steel, but most of it's aluminum. There's too much in here.
During post-flight maintenance, mechanics discovered the biggest problem yet.
Oh my God. I've never seen this much. So where could it be coming from?
Well, this steel could be from the cam followers, you know, a part of the cam.
Bob asked the mechanic to perform an oil change, and he discovered metal filings in the engine.
Okay, because that's where the steel component is, right? So would you feel comfortable flying this across the North Atlantic right now?
Absolutely not.
So what do you recommend?
The engine needs to be taken apart, or another engine, period. If I was doing an annual on this would be unairworthy, period. Okay.
Wow.
It's unairworthy.
At a small airport in Rhode Island, pilots Bob Rasky and Yasmina Platt have run into big trouble.
An oil change is a normal thing. We were low on oil anyway.
They were hired to jockey a 36-year-old single-engine Cessna from California to Poland. A flight over 10,000 kilometers long that will take them across the frigid waters of the North Atlantic. But the job is starting to look like a suicide mission. First, it was the left flap.
Whoa. Look at that thing. Oh, it's not working?
Nope.
Uh-oh.
Then, a fuel leak.
Oh my God.
Okay, so it is leaking pretty good back there. Okay?
Yeah, I'm just concerned about electrical fire.
We're gonna need to divert the nearest airport right now.
Now, metal filings in the oil filter indicate the engine is falling apart.
Oh my God.
Would you feel comfortable flying this across the North Atlantic?
Absolutely not.
So what do you recommend?
It's unairworthy.
For Bob, this is the third and last strike. He refuses to fly this plane again without a thorough maintenance job.
It's actually recommended by anybody ferrying across the North Atlantic to do that at least 2 to 3 times before you go, including doing soap analysis. That's recommendations.
His boss, Cory Bengtzen, disagrees.
That's not how it works. We cannot authorize work on someone else's airplane. Let's say they find something. Are you gonna pay to fix it? Because the owner could just as easily say, well, you guys authorized the inspection. I'm not paying for it, you pay for it. And I know sure as hell I'm not gonna pay for it.
Cory's in the business of delivering planes, not fixing them. But with his hired guns ready to bail, he's got no choice but to talk to the mechanic.
Yeah, hold on a second. Here you go.
The verdict: the engine needs an overhaul. This plane delivery has already been delayed by a week. And in Poland, the client is running out of patience.
We are paying for the Cessna, and we have to pay also the rental aircraft. So we're paying double. That's why we desperately needed that plane.
She'll keep losing money until Cory delivers the plane. But now, his pilots have second thoughts about finishing the job.
It's easy enough to acquiesce to the fact that we got it here, we got to a certain point, it might be time to hand it off to somebody else. Heading home.
Cory's pilots are throwing in the towel.
Bob and I have done everything we can, and we've brought it as far as it would let us. It needs another doctor to look at her.
They're calling it quits. And Cory's finding out that running a plane delivery business can be more stressful than flying.
I don't know what's gonna happen. First thing is it's more delays, period. I mean, it could be as simple as just a new cylinder they need to put on it, but if it needs a new engine, it's at least 2-3 weeks.
Worse, the grounded Cessna is just half of Cory's nightmare. Now he's got another job to get off the ground, and another client who wants the plane delivered yesterday.
When the plane's ready, the client expects you to be ready and to leave right then. I cannot tell them that they have to wait another week or 2 weeks because I'm doing another flight. They want their plane now, and so we have to have other pilots ready to go that are trained in the airplane that can ferry it if I'm busy.
Cory thinks he's got the right guy to take on this new job. Kerry McCauley owns a skydiving school in Wisconsin. Over a decade ago, Kerry made his living delivering planes across the globe. And he signed on with Cory to find out if he's still got the nerve to do his old job once again.
I've crossed the ocean many times, flown over Africa, Europe, Middle East. If I screw this one up, all the people that know me and have heard all my glorious stories over the years are going to be snickering behind my back or to my face.
That was a blast. I needed that.
Kerry might be a little rusty, but he's no rookie.
Some pilots, they call the office and call the boss every 10 minutes. They want every decision made for them. They want help. They want their hand held all the way across.
Here she is.
If I don't bother Cory, if I just get the job done with the minimum amount of interference and with the minimum amount of money, he'll be impressed.
Good morning, guys. George Johnson.
Hey, George. Kerry McCauley.
Kerry.
Stu Sprung.
Stu, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Stu Sprung will be Kerry's co-pilot. And this morning, he's meeting the plane for the first time.
For what the doctor intends it.
For me, it'll be definitely uncharted waters. Flying over the Amazon, I'm not quite sure how that's going to make me feel.
It's a very low-time airplane. It's got about 2,000 hours total time.
What year is it?
It's 1989.
This is a Beechcraft Bonanza. Based on World War II fighter plane technology, the Bonanza has been in production for over half a century. It's a close cousin of the first Bonanza, which killed musicians Buddy Holly and Ritchie Valens in 1959.
You know, it's hard to see problems in some of these planes when they've washed them and waxed them and detailed them like that.
Flying a plane for someone else is a lot like a high-altitude blind date. The pilots never really know what they're getting into.
People have told us this is a great plane, it's in great condition, fresh out of its annual inspection, but I need to see for myself.
And sometimes, even the best airplanes have a dirty little secret.
You hear that? It sounds like something's rubbing. Yeah, it's loudest right here.
Last thing is we need is for one of those rods to wear all the way through, and we're halfway over Brazil.
They'll need to get this fixed before they can take off. They've got a long flight ahead. almost 8,000 kilometers from Greensboro, North Carolina, to Porto Alegre in Brazil.
So you're saying from St. Bart's to Grenada to Georgetown, and you want to make Macapa in the same day?
That's gonna be tough.
That would have to be a perfect day. That's about 1,400 miles.
And according to the latest forecasts, the only thing perfect about the upcoming weather is a perfect storm. A monster hurricane lurking on the outskirts of Kerry and Stu's flight path.
We don't need to have the whole conversation about being pessimistic. We're optimistic. We're gonna make it.
I'm going to do a parallel plan. I'm going to call it the realistic plan.
Stu knows that flight plans almost always change. But what's really bugging him is a problem that he can't fix.
It just irritates me to even have to even think about it.
I mean, ain't that the way it goes? You know, the one big key commitment you have.
Stu is a retired firefighter. Every year since the 9/11 terror attacks, he's joined his fellow firefighters for a memorial. And he took this job on one condition, that he could be in New York City for the 10th anniversary.
That was a very devastating time. I worked there with the New York City firefighters. Some of my best friends were New York City firefighters that passed away that day. We made a pledge never to forget. And so if I'm not there because I'm flying an aircraft to Brazil, it'll tear away at me. I just don't even want to have to deal with that.
We're a team. Take care of each other. And your well-being is my well-being.
That's true.
So let's talk about both our well-beings in this freaking hurricane that's bearing down on us.
A hurricane of this size could shatter a small plane in a few seconds. So the only way to survive it is to find a way around it.
A better boogie. Nice.
Yeah.
If Stu has any chance to make it back to New York in time, they have to get to the first stop before the hurricane.
Game plan is just trying to get ahead of it. The irony is if to beat the hurricane, we have to fly right at it.
Gear up. And we're off.
In Rhode Island, the delivery of a 36-year-old Cessna 206 is in jeopardy. And Cory Bengtzen is here because his pilots walked out. Now the boss has no choice but to finish the job himself.
I had to drop everything to get out here and finish the flight. So it's frustrating, but my company's reputation is riding on this flight. I got to get the aircraft there.
Hey, Joe.
Cory Bengtzen.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Randy McGehee. Welcome to Rhode Island. Nice.
Cory's convinced his friend and expert pilot, Randy McGehee, to lend him a hand. This isn't the first time Randy has been a lifesaver. He piloted Cory's first delivery, a dangerous flight from California to Australia.
Whoa. Slow it down here. Okay. In case we run into any bad bumps, we won't break our airplane.
Things got a little bumpy over the Pacific.
That light means we have 10 minutes left of fuel. I don't want to be freaking swimming in the ocean, dude.
They both lived to tell the tale.
Holy crap, we made it.
And now, Randy's back for more.
How's she look? She looks pretty good now. I mean, we've changed the engine in it. As far as used engines go, it's about the best you're gonna get. I did everything I could, test flying it, running it on the ground. It's all yours now. All right, thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
The refurbished engine might give the plane a second life, or turn this trip into the last fatal flight.
The plane definitely had some major issues, and that's a big red warning light walking into this situation. But I can't let that cloud my evaluation of the airplane right now as the airplane sits there.
When Cory and Randy leave Rhode Island, they'll begin a deadly game of hopscotch to get to Poland, landing on remote airstrips when their fuel runs low over the cold North Atlantic, where even a small storm can turn the little airplane into a cocktail shaker. That's why both pilots signed up for a 2-day survival course before the flight.
All right, once you sit down, grab your seatbelt.
Yeah, it's a little bit of excitement with some nervousness mixed in there. Yeah, for sure.
You're gonna hear me say ditching, ditching, ditching.
Ditching is the controlled landing of a plane on water. But for the pilots, it's code for life or death.
We're going to lower down underwater and submerge. Great reference point for you to use to find that jettison handle is a reference right off of your knee.
It won't do any good to survive the impact if they can't get out of the plane. And if they don't find that jettison handle, they might never get out. If Cory and Randy go down at sea, after impact, icy cold water will fill the cockpit in seconds.
It was a very eerie feeling. Your sinuses fill up, you're disoriented, you have no idea where you're at, you can't see anything. You have to use your position points to locate your emergency exit and to get out, all while holding your breath.
And if you got in there and didn't have a plan, didn't know what you're doing, I don't think you'd make it.
I can feel that little bit of fear or panic start to creep in a little bit, and it's not a good feeling at all.
While the going is still good, Cory wants to take off.
If we wait a few more hours, there'll just be embedded thunderstorms in the clouds. So we've got a window of just a short time to get off the ground to be able to make our destination where we'll be stuck somewhere.
Ready, cowboy? I'm ready.
Today's flight to Goose Bay, Canada will be overland. From there on, it's do or die. Back down south, over the Caribbean Sea, Kerry and Stu are playing chicken with a monster hurricane over 600 kilometers wide.
Just off the right of her nose, that's not good. 1 hour till hurricane time.
Kerry's gambling the Beechcraft Bonanza can outrun the storm and leave disaster in his rearview mirror.
Got a couple of lightning strikes on the storm scope, yep. And there is a big thunderstorm right in front of us. That one right there, that's huge. Yeah. That one there is huge. I just saw lightning. We might be screwed.
If they can beat the storm, Stu has a chance to make it back to New York for the 9/11 memorial of the terror attacks.
If this hurricane delays us by a day, then I'm going to be left with having to make a very difficult decision on whether I can complete the trip or possibly not go to New York.
There's some pretty serious airplanes that have been destroyed in the air just by thunderstorm stuff, not a category 2 or 3 hurricane.
We got to be careful too, though, because we're losing daylight.
Yeah.
If we go off course too far, we're going to get there after dark.
The 6-cylinder engine powers the Bonanza to a top speed of over 300 kilometers per hour, and they're knocking off some serious mileage. But their flight path is starting to look like a kamikaze mission. The aging Cessna has delivered Randy and Cory safely to their first fuel stop. Now they prepare to go head-to-head with the unforgiving and potentially deadly North Atlantic.
Well, Capitan, here we go.
Here we go.
Dude, my stomach's turning a little bit.
What do you mean by that?
You
Feeling
feeling
all right?
nervous, man?
Putting on these survival suits brings home the danger.
Reality's setting in. This is a big flight. This is by far the most dangerous flight I've ever done. I just want to stay dry.
If the crash doesn't kill them, the cold water will, in about 15 minutes. These high-tech survival suits might keep their blood warm and their hearts pumping, long enough to get picked up alive by a rescue team.
It's gonna be hard to zip these up sitting down, you know?
In the tiny Cessna, there's no way and no time to put these suits on in an emergency, so they have to fly half zipped in.
The suit is like a full dry suit, and plus it has a liner in there to help keep your body warm. And so they're very bulky, they're hard, they're sweaty on the inside because it doesn't allow any water to get in at all. I mean, all the way from your toes up to your neck, you're trapped in that suit.
All right, she's climbing nicely.
This is no dress rehearsal. It's showtime.
No more land. We will not see land for many hours. Probably 99.9% of the people in the world can say they've never taken a single engine piston across the Atlantic. You know that? What's that say about us? We're badass mofos.
The first leg goes without a hitch.
Just get us there, old Cessna.
They dropped in on a Greenland airstrip and refueled. Now they're back up, looking at more than 1,000 kilometers of white-knuckled flying before their next stop, Reykjavik, Iceland.
Headwind's picking up. We just lost 5 knots in the last 5 minutes. Down to 122 knots ground speed.
It's been 20 hours since they left Rhode Island, and they'll be rubbing elbows in this cramped cockpit for at least another 5 hours before the next pit stop.
Your speed just keeps declining.
On this flight, it seems something is always going wrong, and they're starting to feel like they're riding in a flying coffin.
What's our ground speed? 99 knots.
Ground speed is the measure of the Cessna's speed relative to the Earth. And right now, a headwind is slowing down the plane, forcing the pilots to burn more fuel than they estimated.
But we can't maintain 95, 96 knots ground speed. We won't make it. We're gonna have to have some seriously improving performance, man, or we're gonna make this gonna be a short trip.
If the headwinds keep up at the current rate, their tanks could run dry before they reach their destination. So Cory does the math.
Okay, Randy, here's basically what I came up with. It took us 45 minutes to get to cruising altitude. We're right at that hour of fuel reserve with everything staying the same. I mean, it's right on that verge.
Before this trip, Cory's team built an extra fuel tank to extend the Cessna's range. They rigged the homemade 58-gallon tank into the passenger compartment, an additional piece of cargo that gives them enough fuel to cross the Atlantic. But it's like riding in a flying bomb.
We can only go out this way for about another 20 or 30 minutes, or we're gonna have to turn around and go back. I got no choice.
But now, even with the extra tank, the fuel levels are running dangerously low, and Randy's getting worried because they're approaching the point of no return.
I think whatever we're gonna do, we gotta do it now, figure it out now.
The point of no return is a go or no-go decision for a pilot. You only have the fuel to go forward, so even if you want to turn around, you can't make it.
I want you to look in that tank and tell me what you see. Or maybe I should do it, because I know I've been looking back there. I'll have a better gauge of how much fuel's in there. Okay. I'm gonna transfer control to you, okay? You have the airplane. I'm gonna unbuckle and go mess with this fuel tank. You have the airplane? Got the airplane.
The auxiliary fuel tank doesn't have a gauge, so Randy has to eyeball what fuel is left.
This is really difficult with these suits on, man. It's a pain in the ass. Oh, what was that? Okay. I'm taking off the cap. All of a sudden, that thing just flies up. It was like an explosion, man. I took a huge whiff of fumes, man, and I don't feel too good.
Fuel under high pressure just blew out of the tank, into the cabin, and now it won't take more than a tiny spark to explode.
If I could choose one way not to die, I don't want to be burned to death. I think it's awful. And in an airplane, if you have a fire, it's something that can kill you very quickly, and there's nothing you can do.
Those fumes were nasty. All the electronics we got in here, fuel will burn, the vapors explode, and geez, we gotta be careful, man. We gotta keep this thing well ventilated.
Randy cracks open a window to clear out the gas fumes.
You need to check your pants, man. Did you hear me yell?
I screamed like a little schoolgirl.
When the fuel tank blew in my face, I was able to, for whatever reason, keep my cool and keep operating that airplane. If you panic and quit thinking, you're dead, period.
But it's still a long way to the next pit stop. Back down south in the Caribbean, pilots Kerry and Stu Sprung are avoiding a fight they were guaranteed to lose by steering the Beechcraft Bonanza around a deadly hurricane.
It's gonna add about an hour or so onto our trip. Kind of stretch our fuel a bit. But we kind of got to do it now, because that looks pretty nasty. I don't want to wait until we're right in it. Let's run away and live to fly another day.
They veer off to avoid the monster winds and violent rains.
Boy, I'm really glad we got that hurricane behind us. I mean, that was a real stress builder.
It says St. Martin at 6. Would you say what sunset was? 7:30. So if we can turn and burn in an hour, be there by 7.
No, we'll be there. Wait, it's only 3 hours to St. Martin. 3.5.
The good news is Hurricane Katia won't win this fight by a knockout. The bad news is the detour puts them in St. Martin after dark, and flying blind is never fun.
What really gets screwy with these islands at night is completely surrounded with blackness and just this little tiny strip of lights.
Oh, St. Martin, finally.
Hurricane missed you guys, huh?
We're always great when they're lucky when they miss us.
Kind of wanted to see it. I want to get a little closer. But yeah, it's not my airplane, so I should probably take good care of it. The owner might not appreciate hurricane damage. That's right.
A safe landing makes any day a good day. But Stu has other things and places on his mind.
Something will jam us up. I guarantee it. For me, when you get as lucky as we have on this trip, it's almost a sign that something's going to come down the chute and screw it all up. Every corner I turn, I'm expecting it. Every day, 2 or 3 things come up that could cause potential delays. We just don't know what they are until they hit us.
Back up north, Cory and Randy are approaching Iceland with 30 minutes of fuel to spare and enough fumes in their jury-rigged tank to blow them halfway to the moon.
Wow, Cory, you come a long way on your fuel calculations since Australia.
Go f yourself.
If Randy is unimpressed by his co-pilot's flight skills, he's not saying too much, because the co-pilot on this flight is also the boss, and he's signing the checks.
Let's get out of here, huh?
That flight did not disappoint. The wind was terrible. Fuel problem.
That just makes it interesting, man.
That's right. Makes for a good story later,
Yeah.
right? As long as you make it.
Yeah.
Small businessmen like Cory don't survive long without learning how to cut a few corners. But there's something about flying a single-engine plane across the ocean that can make even the toughest men think twice.
This vent is supposed to be attached, and that starts to give me a clue to some of the problems we may have been having while we were having the explosion. Something not right with that. We gotta get a mechanic to take a look at that.
If the tank of extra fuel blew its top because it wasn't venting properly, Randy doesn't want that to happen again.
It doesn't look good. This thing is really up. And
something you can fix quickly, you think?
well, no, not quickly.
You know, we're really trying to get out of here.
Yeah, I believe that. So.
Randy and the mechanic both know they'll need at least a day or more to make the fix and to do it right. But for Cory, it's another crippling setback. He's over a month behind on the delivery of this plane. His reputation is on the line.
We've got to get the plane to the client, and there's a chance we're going to be here 3 or 4 days.
As for Randy, he's willing to do whatever it takes to deliver the plane safely, even if it means pulling rank on his co-pilot and boss. Way down south in the tropics, close to the equator, Kerry and Stu's Beechcraft Bonanza is 24 hours away from reaching their final destination, and their spirits are high.
Is this an old ferry pilot trick that you have with the GPS?
If we got a ditch in the ocean, I would like to ditch in front of a cruise ship because we'd be in the hot tub with a margarita within the hour.
Where do I shut off the gas?
These pilots only met a few days ago, but the adventure has already turned them into old friends. It doesn't always work out that way.
Two pilots are flying together and their personalities don't click, it's really going to be a problem. 36 hours shoulder to shoulder with another guy will not be a lot of fun if you don't get along. You have a great sense of humor, shrug off the problems, and just keep flying. You'll have a great trip and you'll make a great ferry pilot.
Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to get some gas, file a flight plan, and hopefully make this stop less than an hour.
They're halfway through today's flight plan. If things keep going along, they'll reach Brazil by sundown.
All right, fueled up, ready to go. Flight plan's filed.
Not so fast. They're having issues with the registration for this plane, and they can't get permission for us to land in Brazil, so we can't take off.
On any other flight, a delay like this would be no big deal. But Stu has made it clear from the start. He promised his firefighter brothers he would be in New York for the 9/11 memorial, even if it means abandoning his captain today.
Hey, Cory, it's Stu. How you doing? So nothing from even the FAA, right?
This should have been done 2 weeks ago. Why do they wait till we're moments from entering Brazil to say, oh, hey, by the way, we...
Literally about to take off.
Why boss Cory didn't get the Brazilian paperwork done is a mystery. But if Stu bails out now, Cory will need a lot more than paperwork. He'll need a new pilot.
This is the delay that can't happen. It's not a small leg. It's not a leg that we can make up the next day. This is a whole day right here, down the tubes. We did make it through a hurricane, but we can't make it through Brazilian paperwork.
No pilot lands in a foreign country without permission, unless he's looking for free room and board.
Yeah, I don't feel like going to the Brazilian jail.
The only thing about that is they'll probably only take one of us to jail.
Yeah, but they always take the pretty one.
I'll make sure, I'll bring you some smokes in prison.
Boy, I love you, man. You're always thinking of me, my well-being.
I know.
How can you make me comfortable in a Brazilian prison? Man, I'm touched. I'm so touched that you were thinking of me.
How's it going?
All that's left to do is kill time in town and hope for news from the office before it's too late.
Oh, Kerry, you're gonna love this.
What?
It's currently Independence Day in Brazil, so I'm having a hard time getting in touch with anybody.
No way.
But Stu doesn't have to say what they both know all too well. Time is running out fast. Cory and Randy have flown more than halfway across the frozen North Atlantic seas. And after being grounded for 48 hours in Iceland for repairs, the two of them are just dying to fly.
All right, buddy, it's game time. Let's get spooled up and let's get out of here. Gotta try and make up some of this time.
And Cory's got a lot to make up.
It's game day. We need to get this plane down to Poland. We have a job to do. The clients are waiting for us. Assuming that the weather is cooperating, we'll be in the air early and we'll get going.
The next leg will stretch the range of the old Cessna 206. Once again, they'll be relying on that homemade fuel tank. And Randy wants to make sure it doesn't explode again.
This flight's no joke. We've got about 600 miles of open ocean. We can't let down our guard now, because if this flight's taught you anything, the unexpected is gonna happen.
The next leg is a 6-hour journey to Scotland across the unforgiving North Atlantic. It's a lot of time in a single-engine plane, with no place to land if anything goes wrong.
We should already be there by now.
Cory's flying the same plane, but he's being driven by a different kind of engine, the money machine.
You gotta move quick, the wind's getting stronger.
Let's go. Let's do it.
To Randy, Cory sounds less and less like a co-pilot and more like a nervous businessman.
He's got to realize that flying, there's no mistakes. We got one shot at it. Hey, listen, I'm gonna fly this leg. You haven't been taking this flight seriously enough. I want to drive that point home with you, okay? So you're not gonna fly this leg, I'm gonna fly it until you start taking it a little more seriously.
Whatever you want.
Cory might be the boss, but Randy puts his foot down. This is one business where a shortcut can lead to disaster.
Got our checklist?
Seatbelts, doors, and locks.
In the tropical heat of Guyana, Kerry and Stu have finally received authorization to land on Brazilian soil.
We've gotten the proper paperwork. CV was able to pull a rabbit out of the hat.
They're a full day behind schedule, and Stu's appointment with the New York 9/11 Memorial is coming up fast.
All right, let's get this show on the road.
Today doesn't go perfect. He's not going to be able to finish the trip and get to New York on time.
Gear up.
You're up.
Kerry is determined to do whatever it takes to make Stu finish the job. That's why he's decided to fly 2,700 kilometers from Georgetown, Guyana to Goiânia, Brazil, with just one fuel stop.
Wow, what is that? Looks like a huge,
there's a cliff
huge
there.
cliff and some, wow, this is cool.
This is the kind of flight that can remind even the most jaded pilot why he fell in love with flying.
Look at this, holy cow. That's huge. The whole thing just looks like it's out of the Lost World or something. Look at that. Wow. Unbelievable.
Pretty impressive.
Oh my God, awesome. You know, this is why I ferry fly. Who else gets a chance to do this? I got a new high point in my life. That was, woo, that was cool.
Over 1,000 kilometers later, they drop into Macapa for refueling and customs clearance. But there's a problem.
¿Él habla inglés? ¿Es más tarde para customs?
Mañana. Mais ou menos.
Customs apparently is closed for the day, so that's can't be done. The runway is closed from 8 to noon for they're working on the runway. 8 to noon tomorrow.
It's like, really? I mean...
It's the bad news Stu had feared all along.
I have to say I'm a little speechless right now. There's no effing way I'm gonna be able to make it from here to anywhere else and make it to New York. This is my last stop. I'm done.
For Stu, this flight is over. But he still has to break the news to his boss, Cory, who's now flying as co-pilot on the flight to Poland.
It's the big blow that we were hoping wouldn't happen.
Up north, Cory and Randy reach the Green Highlands of Scotland. After flying the shaky Cessna over thousands of kilometers of treacherous ocean, the rolling hills below their wings have let them forget about their differences.
Well done, Capitan.
By the time we landed, I was really excited and like, wow, that was great. By the time we parked that airplane, I had tanked. I was really tired, really almost not even thinking quite straight anymore.
They might be exhausted, but Cory isn't wasting any time. He's determined to keep moving.
You have to have incredible stamina to do this type of flying. We put in a lot of hours in the cockpit every day. We don't get a ton of sleep, and we're expected to get up and do it the next day.
Sometimes, a pilot has nothing left to run on but sheer willpower.
It's very physically challenging. jumping time zones, being at altitude where the air is less, and so that takes a physical toll on you. It knocks you on your ass sometimes.
That was a good one, dude. Man, I'm like fighting it hard over here.
Cory wants to be in Poland before sunset.
Next is the final destination into Poland. It's a little grass strip that we're going to be delivering the airplane to, so we've got to hurry and turn and burn and get it there. So, almost done. One more leg left.
That gives them just 2 hours to get the Cessna ready for takeoff. But Randy has just discovered they might need a little more time.
We have a strut problem. Our strut's starting to give us some issues, so need a few minutes to think it over and do a little further investigation on the airplane and a little closer look at the weather, and then I'll make a decision whether we're gonna go or not.
The strut connecting to the front landing gear is leaking oil. It's not bad enough to ground the Cessna, but if landing conditions aren't perfect, on touchdown, it could make the plane hard to handle, and Randy isn't going to chance it.
At our destination, which I just found out is a grass field, we're supposed to have rain showers and winds gusting 20 knots, gusting to 35 knots. That may keep us here for another day.
Randy knows that even without the faulty strut, a soggy runway and a strong crosswind could snap the Cessna's landing gear.
Right now, we're not sure the plane's ready, and we're not sure the weather's going to be good enough, so.
We need to get going, though. I mean, we have to get it there tonight.
We don't have to do anything. If it gets too late, we'll just have to stay.
Cory may be the boss, but Randy's word is law, and he's not backing down. A few hours later, Cory catches a lucky break.
Where I think we can go. Really? Yeah, I think it's looking good. Let's get the hell out of here. All right.
The weather cleared, so Randy said okay to setting out on the final leg to Poland.
Randy, it's going to be interesting when we land here in a couple minutes.
I know, man. We don't know what to expect. I mean, she could be really upset with us. She could be really happy. We don't know.
Now that they'll be landing soon, their thoughts have turned to their last and potentially biggest problem. One hard-nosed, no-nonsense Polish customer.
I think she's just extremely frustrated with the situation because this plane was supposed to be here almost a month ago.
Hey, Cory, we're almost there. Let's do it right.
All right, boss. There is a concrete strip right there.
The concrete runway should be a lot safer than a dirt strip.
Yeah, it's concrete, but it's all broken up.
It's pretty cracked.
But there's only one way to find out if the leaky strut can absorb the shock of a bumpy landing. And now that the new owner is watching their final approach, they'd better put on a good show.
All right, Cory, this is it.
Speed's looking good. Everything's looking good.
Let's hope this runway surface is good.
Pretty bumpy.
Yikes.
It's a good thing the customer's only watching from a distance, because it's one rough landing. But the gear holds up.
Nice job,
bro. Well done.
Hello. Congratulations, we finally got it here for you. There's the keys.
Thank you so much.
How are you? I'm Cory Bengtzen.
Fine.
Nice
Hello,
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We brought you a little present.
Thank you.
As well as the plane that you've been
This is-
waiting for forever,
This
huh?
is my present.
Her skydiving school has been hemorrhaging money on the rental of another plane. But now that she's got her Cessna, she'll soon be out of the red. And that means Cory finally has a happy customer.
We definitely went through a lot for him, and you know, that's our job, and we're happy to do it.
Well, it's better late than never. We got her here safely.
When we finally land and they're frustrated because it's a few days late, it's like, wait a minute, we just put our lives in our hand. We just crossed the ocean in a single engine piston and come on.
Way down south in the tropics,
Hey, Cory, it's Stu. How you doing?
Kerry and Stu's mad race against time has come to an abrupt stop.
We just landed in Macapa. Customs was closed early, so we can't do any customs until tomorrow morning at 8. And the runway is closed for maintenance from 8 until noon tomorrow.
Stu is on the phone with boss Cory, who's just landed in Poland, and he's giving Cory the bad news. He's bailing out.
That basically kills it, so yeah, I'd be committed to leaving from here. So you're gonna come all the way down here to take my spot?
Stu is going to New York to the 9/11 memorial, and Cory is flying into Macapa to replace him, which means Kerry is temporarily grounded.
You're kidding me. Oh, shit. Am I forbidden to continue on? Can I meet him at the next stop? I mean, for me to sit here with a good airplane and...
The way Stu tells it, he held up his part of the bargain, but he's still splitting up the team and leaving a job unfinished.
It's tough for me to leave you because I'm worried that it's leaving you stranded.
Don't worry about me. I'll be all right. It'll probably be easier. I won't have to listen to your boring stories. All right. I've done tons of trips like these. Far more dangerous, far more difficult by myself. To have someone come down here to help me for the last third of the trip is really unnecessary and just drives me nuts to have to wait.
Kerry McCauley is where no ferry flyer wants to be, grounded in Brazil.
Dang it.
With the clock ticking, waiting on his copilot.
I'm gonna be meeting Cory for the first time this morning. He's supposed to be down here at 5:30 so we can get a good and early start, but so far no Cory.
Kerry's flown almost 2/3 of this trip with another pilot.
I would like to ditch in front of a cruise ship because we'd be in the hot tub with a margarita within the hour.
Where do I shut off the gas?
But that pilot had to bail because of a schedule conflict.
I'm done. This is the end of the line.
And for Kerry, the only thing worse is finding out the replacement is a guy he's never even met, his boss.
You're gonna come all the way down here to take my spot?
Done tons of trips like these all by myself. And far more dangerous, far more difficult. To have someone come down here to help me just drives me nuts. Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Speak Cory.
How we doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
As company owner, Cory Bengtzen's priority is keeping customers on side by delivering on time. And Kerry's already one step ahead.
The airport closes at 8, from 8 to noon. We're either out here by 8, and we're staying. Let's go around here on that side.
This flight is Cory's chance to crack Brazil, one of the fastest growing small plane markets in the world.
I know Kerry wanted to do this by himself, but the first flight into a new country is so important for us. If they're happy, they may tell a couple people. If they're pissed off, they're gonna tell the world.
And Cory's client expects the plane at his Brazilian ranch in less than 48 hours.
I'm gonna go check weather and file a flight plan. If you wanna get her untied, either go in the office right there or talk to the guy with the truck.
Kerry and Cory are still finding their feet as a team, and it's costing them precious time.
Oh, we gotta pay the landing fees too, so yeah.
A scheduled airport closure leaves them less than an hour to get off the ground.
If we don't get out of here by 8 o'clock, we're stuck till probably tomorrow, because by noon, we won't have enough time to finish the legs we need to get done today.
Today's plan is ambitious. Log more than 1,800 kilometers over dense Brazilian jungle, where landing strips are scarce, if it all goes bad.
All right, we're all set.
It's a 10-hour day that puts them down just before sunset, but only if they're wheels up within minutes.
We got 30 minutes to get off the ground.
All right, let's get this moment.
The plane they're delivering is a Beechcraft Bonanza. Kerry's brought it almost 5,000 kilometers with no mechanical problems.
No.
Until now.
We do not have time to dink around with this. What the hell? We got no power for the plane. Well, if we can't get this started in a couple of minutes, it means we're staying here for a while.
Do you want me to go see if the fuel truck has a jumper?
Cory and Kerry now have 15 minutes before the runway closes. No time to install a new battery.
Why would I have totally dead battery?
Here he is. We need to get jumped and get out of here. Can you jump us? We're having a really difficult time communicating. I'm not sure if they know what we need, but we have less than 10 minutes to get the airplane jumped and off the ground. He has no idea what I'm trying to say. Battery dead. We need to plug in.
Ooh. Yeah. You got that? Okay.
We gotta hurry though.
They're closing the runway. Time we got.
We really do only have a few minutes.
Emergency troubleshooting goes with the territory, but it's easier if you know the guy you're in deep with.
Come on.
Cory's usual go-to guy is a veteran pilot, Randy McGehee.
That light means we have 10 minutes left of fuel.
Holy.
Together, Cory and Randy have been through hell.
And what was that?
And high water. But right now, Randy's on another mission in Canada's far north. He's here trying out for the ferry flight of a lifetime.
Dave?
Sir.
Hey, Randy McGehee.
Randy, nice to finally meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
The United Nations needs this plane in Africa to help save lives in South Sudan, the world's newest country. And the twin-engine Dornier is perfect for the job. It carries twice the cargo of other turboprops and can nail a short runway, paved or not. Ideal for the rough and tumble world of UN relief missions.
You can land this thing fully loaded in 500 feet, so you can get her stopped pretty quick.
Wow.
If you come in slow.
That's impressive.
Randy's at the bottom of a steep learning curve.
I haven't seen anything like that.
He's never flown a Dornier, and he's got just 2 days to learn. And even though he's racked up an impressive 10,000 plus hours of flying time, the Dornier will force him to up his game.
When I learned he was an airline pilot, I had concerns. Randy flies a 767. I mean, that's a big jet. But if you even talk to Randy, how much does he actually fly the aircraft? Well, not really. You push a button and it sort of does its magic, right? To jump into something like this now, where you're actually hands and feet back to old school, what he used to do, if you haven't done it for a long time, anyone's gonna get rusty.
Aircraft flight manual here. Your standing operating procedures. The company operations manual is there.
Looks pretty bad, man.
It is a lot of info.
That's a lot of reading.
There is, but you're an airline pilot, man. You can figure it out.
It's like a fire hose in the mouth. It's a lot of information, and you got to take it in as quickly as you can get it.
We'll give Randy as much assistance as we can, but he's going to have to pick up the ball and run with it himself. We've got 9 other airplanes I'm worried about all over the world. So after your guys are all done for the day?
Done for the day.
Yeah, I'm feeling the pressure on everything I got to learn. It's a lot, and it's a big responsibility.
It's a big step up for the Dornier, too. Its latest posting was hauling passengers and cargo around Canada's north. But for its new war zone tour of duty, the Dornier got a nose-to-tail upgrade. UN branding, the latest in navigation systems, and a brand new coat of armor.
The main gear's got clamshell doors that clip up and seal it right in. We have a Kevlar coating on the belly, so this is bulletproof basically. So we got all our markings on it, United Nations under this wing and on the top of the left wing. They're very specific on where they want it. There's also a UN under the belly that hopefully means don't shoot.
I wonder if that gives us much protection at all, though.
I guess for those who can read and don't have a problem with the UN.
The last part of this trip, we're going into a really unstable part of the world. There's a lot of areas that we want to avoid overflying and definitely don't want to land in.
This is your basic layout. We got our normal checklist here.
All right, so where's the autopilot at?
We don't have autopilot, so.
There's no autopilot on this plane? So we're gonna hand fly this thing like 9,000 miles. I didn't know that. On top of having to learn all the emergency procedures, normal procedures, and everything else, now I've got to be reverting back to my old flying and having to concentrate on just flying the airplane. I don't think I've flown a plane like this without an autopilot or flight director since 10, 15 years ago.
It's just a different style of flying. This is all hands and feet, so you do get lazy. I mean, I flew for the airlines, and yeah, you lose your hands and feet flying. And here it's all we do. We don't have autopilots, so we're landing on some, sometimes a 1,500-foot ice strip. So you're really flying the bus. You know the old saying, you can make, hundreds of errors, but you just can't make any mistakes. Now, if he can't do the job, then he's not going. It's as simple as that.
For ferry pilot Randy McGehee, it's all or nothing. His rare shot at delivering a United Nations plane to Africa all comes down to these next few minutes.
Company 207.
207, this company, go ahead.
Maxing out for a training flight with Randy. All right, man, your brakes, your control.
Out of the airplane.
Randy's never flown a Dornier.
Let's do it.
How this airplane lands and flies will be just a little different. You want to have that finesse and good hands, but it's not always that easy.
Power set. Airspeed's alive on both sides. You have 2 good engines.
To ace this test, Randy has to respond to every tilt and roll of the plane. It's all about having the perfect touch.
All right, man, it's your plane. Just bank around, get used to it, have some fun.
That rolls quick. I'm actually not used to that. That's cool.
Yeah, very responsive, isn't it? It's like a Ferrari.
I was expecting it to be a little more stable, to be honest.
This ain't no ball.
The Dornier is old school flying. All hands and feet, no autopilot. Randy puts the Dornier through its paces, turns, climbs, and some of the scarier stuff.
You want to run a stall or something, or
just call stall max power?
Stall max power?
We're set.
Climbing right out of it pretty good.
Yeah, you don't need to pitch for it at all. It'll just power right through it. Let's go. Way overpowered. This airplane's off.
All right, sweet.
Well, for no autopilot, you're doing pretty good, man.
No V-bar. We're talking about no flight directors. I'm actually going to have to start flying again.
Not having any issues with this thing. For all the airline pilots, though, he's terrible. He's terrible.
I was expecting him to be rusty, especially on his altitude control. He was nailing his altitude, even in a steep turn. I'm looking, and he's got it just on the rails going around the corner.
Randy's hand flying is impressive. But the most challenging part is just ahead. The Dornier was built for balance. Heavy cargo in the rear, and passenger bags in the specially designed nose. Putting that nose down gently takes a skillful hand.
The nose is going to want to drop out on you. So you got to really catch it, okay? Don't let it just go bang. Just feel it. The nose will come down, let it just sort of drop by itself, and then just check it back hard.
All right, I'll try, man.
And use as much as you want till you can figure out where those wheels are.
All right.
Strut plus 15, looking good. I'm looking sweet. Very nice, sir. was outstanding, brother.
Thanks, man. I was working for it, though. I gotta say, I was working for it.
Randy's earned his seat on the Dornier. But more than 8,000 kilometers south, Randy's colleague, Cory Bengtzen, is still stuck on the ground.
Anyone else we should talk to, do you think?
Cory and senior pilot Kerry McCauley have one dead battery and a runway about to close. Others scramble to beat the deadline. Cory and Kerry's chances of getting a jump start for their Beechcraft Bonanza are slipping away.
I don't know, I think they're broke down too. Oh, maybe he's gonna pull the battery? Yeah,
this is too close.
Somehow, despite a serious language barrier, the locals have figured out the foreigners need a boost.
Oh, we're just gonna swap them? Or no? Okay, I see.
They've pulled a working battery to jolt the Bonanza out of its coma.
Good.
Oh, man, talk about cutting it close. Jeez. Because it is 8 o'clock right now. Where?
A good co-pilot is like a relief pitcher, always ready to take over the game.
Kerry, with this being the first time that we've flown together, what do you want me doing? How do you want the cockpit etiquette to work out?
You know, I do have quite a bit more experience. I guess, you know, I'd like to be the captain, but I always work as a team.
And Kerry needs to know what kind of a teammate Cory's gonna be.
Within the first minute, we got to get it figured out. We don't have time to get to know each other and time to figure out how each other flies.
You really never know what another pilot's gonna be like till you fly with him. I need a guy that's gonna, you know, keep his cool, be good in an emergency.
A good way to find out what your co-pilot's made of is to see how he handles an unexpected adrenaline rush, like buzzing the Amazon at treetop level.
Okay, let's drop her down here a little bit and do a little yeehaw. Woohoo! Yeah, baby. Too much fun. This is awesome. Oh man, I love this stuff. Who gets to do this? Who gets to buzz the Amazon first thing in the morning?
So I think he just wanted to make sure that I'm not going to be some wimp pilot, because this is definitely not the job for a wimpy pilot.
He passed with flying colors. He was digging it. We were having a ball. A couple of kids in a candy store was what we were. Oh, this is fun. All right, let's get back to work. We got places to go. Good that you came down to help out, though.
I'm so happy I'm here. This is awesome.
In this tiny airborne clubhouse, Cory's passed the initiation. Far north of the equator, in Canada's Northwest Territories, Randy McGehee's also made the cut.
We're ready to hit the skies. I can't wait to get airborne, you know.
The veteran pilot has mastered the Dornier's systems, earning a place in the cockpit on a demanding United Nations flight.
The pressure's on us. We gotta get the plane over there.
It's a risky trip. From the far north, they'll cross the rough North Atlantic, then over continental Europe into the heart of Africa. More than 12,500 kilometers.
One spare of everything.
Randy's used to being called captain, but on this flight, he'll answer to Dave Matheson.
Ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do this.
Summit 202, clear takeoff runway 10.
Clip takeoff 10, Summit 202.
All right, brother, you have control.
Is that max power?
For
Max power
you're on
is
route altitude, is that correct?
Airspeed line, both sides. We got 2 good engines.
Goodbye, Yelnay. I love this machine, man.
From position director Keller, maintain 9,000 control from the 202.
The first leg stretches nearly 2,300 kilometers to the remote northern community of Iqaluit.
Well, we're not Kansas anymore, man. There is nothing around here but tundra and water.
We're 15 miles. I've got some type of light ahead, but that could be anything right now.
Got it? Yeah, it's a town. It's kind of blurry, still some clag in the way. I don't even worry about it, though. I just flies the numbers.
Cowboy radio, good evening.
They're putting down for the night to refuel the plane and themselves.
Right, warm for Iqaluit this time of year, huh?
Warm is minus 20. To avoid a mammoth de-icing job, the plane must be towed indoors. Delivering planes is the ultimate in no-frills flying, where you're not just the pilot, you're also the ground crew.
It's a pain in the ass because it's freezing out there. You're tired from the flight. You know you have an early morning, and we're having to do our own work.
The joys of Arctic travel.
What little sleep they get here, they'll need. In front of them is a 10,000-kilometer marathon, with the finish line in a combat zone. By the next day, sleep is a distant memory. It's been long hours of jockeying this United Nations Dornier on its trip to Africa.
Hey, I want to see Greenland here. It looks cool, or at least...
Yeah, if it's not clouded over, it is amazing.
Now at the 1/4 mark, they're approaching Greenland.
Yeah, once we cross these rocks, that glacier, and then it's hitting the bay there, that'd be cool.
Randy sees a photo op, but after hours of butt-numbing boredom,
iceberg coming up and a hole right through the middle of it.
Dave sees a slalom course.
Minimums.
It's just for fun. Still, skimming this ice field requires absolute precision.
Too low, terrain.
Here, the nimble Dornier shows what it's made of. Quick and responsive. So is Dave, who honed skills like this competing in aerobatics.
The most fun I can do in an airplane really is aerobatics. That's a real test. You know, it takes a lot of discipline, a lot of practice, a lot of training.
Dave has great hands. He can manipulate that airplane and make it do whatever he wants. I have a lot of respect for that.
With the icebergs in their rear view, it's back to the business of rationing fuel for the long trip ahead.
Are we there yet? It's gonna be a long trip for you, my friend.
Yeah, big time.
In the lower latitudes, above Brazil, Cory Bengtzen is learning that the co in copilot is short for cooperate.
Usually it's helpful that, one of us is doing the navigating, so, if you want to... Looking up frequencies and stuff like that.
Okay, gotcha. Generally, when we're on other ferry flights, we switch back and forth, but he definitely likes to be the captain. He's in the left seat, and that's the way it is.
They push into the heart of Brazil, and at the end of 1,800 kilometers, the Beechcraft Bonanza is ready for a fuel up.
You want to do this one?
Kerry likes to drive, but in an emergency, he might have to hand over the reins.
Sure.
Which is why he needs to see Cory in action.
As I recall, that's the runway that you come over a hill and a road and a fence. And as you touch down, the whole runway is downhill. So it's kind of tough to land on. You need to have your speed under control. You don't want to be going any faster than 75, 8 the max.
This is Cory's chance to show Kerry that he's more than just a passenger.
Go ahead, new traffic, Bonanza 5603, Mike. Turning left downwind 13, go ahead.
Like it's a quartering tailwind from the left. A little high. Dump full flaps.
With a tailwind and a sloping runway, Cory needs to keep a lid on his speed.
Okay, gas, 3 grain undercarriage, make sure props pumps, you're really fast. You're 90, 95.
Cory's coming in too hot and too high.
Watch your speed.
At this speed and altitude, he'll overshoot the runway.
Okay, let's hang a hard right.
Kerry calls off the landing.
So you're thinking it's best to come in the other way?
Yeah, upwind's best, but we gotta be on the numbers and stuff. Okay, let's get some power back though. We're doing 110 now. Here, you got it. All right, slower up. Here, we're doing 100. It's gonna be a right crosswind. Looking better this time, doing 90, but you're more on the glide path here.
Cory's got the situation under control, but Kerry's still riding him.
Straight out, watch your speed. 85, 80, 75, 70. Drop your nose.
At the last second, Kerry cuts the power and takes control of the plane.
Flaps coming up. I got the brakes. I have the plane. Nicely done. You got the door.
Unless it's life or death, seizing control from another pilot is bad form.
Yeah, sorry about that power thing. I shouldn't have done that. That's all right. I got a little carried away.
Airspeed was fine, everything was fine, and he went and just chopped the throttle. You don't reach over and take controls unless there's a danger, which there definitely wasn't a danger.
I kind of screwed up his landing plane, cutting his power a little bit. But, you know, flying from the right seat is tough. This runway's got a big hill on it, and yeah, it was no big deal.
Cory may be Kerry's boss, but in the cockpit, the guy with the most experience is top dog, period.
Why is the power still on? Yeah, let's get out to the battery quick. So
this morning, the plane needed a jump start. Now, a reverse problem. They can't power down.
Battery will drain in no time.
It's like pulling the keys from your car ignition to find the radio still on.
You want to hand me my knife?
Kerry suspects a critical electrical wire is somehow stuck.
Oh, did that do it? Something went.
Because I turned on the master, and then I turned it off, but everything's still lit up.
Try it again. Everything's still lit up, huh? Well, that's not good. Beats the hell out of me.
Handing over damaged goods is bad for business, especially when you're trying to break into a hot new market like Brazil.
The first thing that's going to go through the new owner's mind is it something that our pilots or that we did? And we definitely don't want that.
It's a new one on me.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
There's not much time to solve this mystery. The owner wants his plane in less than 24 hours. Now, in Egypt, Randy and Dave are facing trouble of their own.
Morning, dude.
Super Dave.
How's it going, brother?
Good, man.
How'd you sleep?
Really great, actually. How about you?
I've been up since 1, crunching numbers.
In 4 days, they've come 9,700 kilometers. But it's the last 3,000 that they're really worried about. Flying over war-ravaged South Sudan.
Flight planners have us taking 6 hours and 37 minutes. And we have 7 hours of fuel. 23 minutes reserve, which is not enough.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Even with a full tank, their assigned flight plan from Egypt to South Sudan leaves them barely enough gas to finish the trip. Pilots call it fuel critical.
So if we get any kind of a headwind, basically we won't make it. So I've been racking my brain all night trying to figure out how to make it work. If we can get any kind of a tailwind, it'll increase it to probably about 40 to 45 minutes of fuel, which is perfect. But a headwind, we won't make it.
What other options do we have?
I checked, didn't even land a cartoon. It's not an option. They said don't bother. It takes 48 hours to get permission, and it's sketchy.
Yeah, it's not my first option. We don't have any other place to go, though, huh?
There's no friendly place to land between here and there. It's almost 1,200 miles. And when we start up, we need an immediate taxi and also an immediate turn on course.
Yep.
Otherwise, they could vector us out 100 miles before they get us on course. We don't have them. So hopefully they play ball.
From the moment they switch on their engines, they're eating into their already slim fuel reserve.
All right, man, fuel's critical. We need to take off as soon as possible.
Roger. Summit 202 requesting position. We're ready to take off.
But the guy in the control tower has other ideas.
Negative.
Damn it.
Meanwhile, it's early morning in Brazil, and Cory Bengtzen and Kerry McCauley are troubleshooting. Hours later, they're no further ahead.
Here's the starter.
Make sure not to burn this battery down.
Their plane is sucking power, and not even the mechanic knows why.
I'm hearing the clunk, so something's working. Something's happening.
But it's not happening fast enough. Right now, the only way to turn off the power to the plane is to pull the plug on the battery.
It ain't perfect. Definitely unhooking the battery every time you shut the plane off is not an ideal situation, but
Especially delivering it to the new owner and have to get out and disconnect the battery.
That's gonna kill me if I gotta say, it's got one little quirk. You gotta disconnect the battery every time you shut the plane off.
It's a safety feature, though.
Safety. It's an anti-theft device.
Yeah.
The plane's owner is expecting delivery in just a couple of hours.
I'm gonna call the owner real quick, just give him an update. Just gonna send the owner an email. I tried to call him on his numbers and couldn't get through. I think he's a little anxious to get his airplane.
Delivering a temperamental plane is better than no plane at all. Cory decides to push on, right after a quick refuel.
Huh, it turned off.
The master switch, when they turned it off, all the power went off, so everything's cold, huh?
Yeah. Cool. We fixed it. You gotta love it when a plane comes together.
When something breaks and then it fixes itself. For me, that's the scariest part because you never know when it's gonna break again, but it is gonna break again. And it's generally at the very worst place when it stops working again.
This is looking really good. We got guys giving us gas. The master switch is working again. We got a beautiful day and only 2 hours left to go. We're golden, baby. We're not even gonna be late. That's like the first time.
Hey, Kerry, we're not in the air yet.
Huh?
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. That's true.
We are out of here.
In Egypt, Randy McGehee and Dave Matheson are wasting fuel, desperate to get off the ground.
Air uniform 202, line up via Charlie, runway 17. Accept?
Sure.
Accept, sir?
Yeah, accepted.
They're sent to the far side of the airport to await permission to take off. Another gas-guzzling delay.
We're trying to take off and get out of here quick, and he's not helping us.
Their flight plan leaves them only 23 minutes of reserve fuel. Every second on the ground will cost them in the air.
Air uniform 202, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, finish up 212 from Alpha Sierra November, VOR, Summit 202.
All right, buddy, you ready, hotshot?
All set, let's get going.
Finally, they get clearance to take off.
Air uniform 202, airborne time 18. Have a nice day.
Their plane, a Dornier, is a strong climber. But in the desert, the air temperature is 40 degrees Celsius. The plane's engines are having to work harder, burning through the gas.
So hot, man. Our performance is, we're getting killed.
Worse, the guys in the control tower have assigned them a flight plan that looks more like a cow trail. Dave radios air traffic control, asking for a more direct route to save on fuel.
Sir, Summit 202, is there any chance you could approve us direct Golf, Oscar, Papa, Delta, Alpha, just because we're fuel critical on this leg, sir, and it would help us out a lot. Be nice to us, buddy.
Please, after contact with Cairo radar, you can take this clearance here on Form 202.
It's bad news.
Yeah, by the time we get to 110, it won't matter. We're fuel critical.
Air traffic control has ordered them to climb to 11,000 feet, contact another control tower, and try again.
Hell, man. Friggin' 100 miles in the wrong direction is not going to help. It's 45 degrees off our track.
Nice when you're sitting on the ground, air conditioning, and you're not up here worrying about running out of fuel, you know?
"30 minutes later, they're in airspace controlled by another tower.
Cairo, good morning. Sierra Uniform 202-110. Request present position direct Golf, Oscar, Papa, Delta, Alpha. Fuel critical.
I can't give you permission to overfly direct to this point. All I can do with you is to proceed direct New Bar, November Uniform, Bravo, Alpha, Romeo. That's straight in the frickin' line.
Translation, request denied. Again.
That's why he won't turn us. I mean, he probably can't even work with Sudan airspace, you know?
Randy and Dave will get one last shot at shaving time off this trip, but not until the halfway point. And with just 23 minutes of spare fuel to begin with, halfway could come too late. In the skies above Brazil, this Beechcraft Bonanza is trouble-free after some earlier power problems. It's a lot more mellow in the cockpit as well.
What the hell is that?
Cory, meet Hula Girl. Hula Girl was with me on all my ferry trips when I was a young lad. And she's kind of like my good luck charm, so I always bring her with on all my trips. Unfortunately,
you break her leg one day?
Oh, Hula Girl had an accident.
Pretty interesting there, buddy.
Yeah, well, we've all got our quirks. You gotta have somebody to talk to on the long flights.
Oh, that is funny.
Kerry prefers flying solo, and he's been adjusting to a co-pilot who's also the boss. But after tens of thousands of kilometers with Hula Girl, Kerry's beginning to appreciate the live audience.
Have you had any emergencies, Kerry?
Well, yeah. Lost an engine in a 182 Holland Jumpers. Lost an engine in a Queener Holland Jumpers. Lost my alternator at night over the Sahara, ferry flying. Was lost over the jungle in the middle of Africa, ferry flying. Lost my ferry tank fuel pressure system in the middle of the Atlantic at night while ferry flying. Yeah, so I've had some emergencies.
You've had a couple. Wow.
You should read my book.
Do you really have a book?
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Oh, this is going to be like a whole new chapter now.
Oh, I know. I can't decide if I'm going to add this to it or have it a second book, you know?
Oh, my God.
It's like, my life doesn't stop. I can't finish the damn book. Just keep it.
After more than 8,700 kilometers over stormy seas and dense jungle, the Bonanza is now within sight of the new owner's ranch.
All right, how's my mixture is good, gas is good.
All eyes will be on them. The landing needs to be perfect. But the runway is far from it.
That's definitely not a international airport runway. Gonna be a little challenging.
Yeah, remember here, Kerry, no pressure, but the owner's watching you.
Ah. Oh, good. At least I got that going for me. No pressure and all.
Above the African desert, landing is the last thing Randy and Dave want to do right now.
We're fuel critical on this leg to make Juba. Is there any possibility we could get direct?
They alert air traffic control as they approach Sudan. It's a war zone. Putting down here could get them kidnapped, or worse.
We just did 1 hour. We burned 656 pounds. I'll get back to that in a second.
Short on gas, Randy and Dave have been asking for a more direct flight path. twice denied, they have one last chance.
Sir, no copy from Khartoum at all. Could you relay?
They can't raise air traffic control on the radio.
Awesome, we're in hostile airspace and we can't talk to anybody.
After several attempts, finally, they make contact.
Sir, uniform 202, radar contact. Would you say again your request?
And sir, from Sierra Uniform 202, any chance for direct Romeo, Alpha, Bravo, Alpha, Kilo? We are fuel critical. I say again, we will be fuel critical. It is imperative we get a straighter line than this. That means go ask your boss, diphead. Come on, baby, give it to us.
Negative, military area.
Thanks for no help.
What a dick. And he knows we're fuel critical.
You know he could give it to us. And we're a United Nations flight. We're not there to bomb anybody.
Out of options, they're banking on a smooth flight with no surprises. And in ferry flying, that's asking for a miracle. Above Brazil, Cory Bengtzen knows there's a lot riding on these next few seconds. It's his first delivery into the Brazilian market, his red carpet moment. But the runway is a dirt patch roller coaster.
Oh, he's got a fence stand too.
75.
Flaps coming up.
Well done, well done.
Whew.
What an entrance.
Look, that was a little more nerve-wracking than I was anticipating. That was sporty.
Excellent. Wow, this is beautiful here.
Woo. Hi, how are you?
Very nice to meet you.
Huh?
This is beautiful here.
Yeah, you did
beautiful.
Good trip.
Phenomenal.
Team. Nice, huh?
First time to get to see it, yeah.
First time I touch it. Very good. I like the...
Hula girl.
Not enough. That's my hula girl, eh?
Think you brought the gift for me?
No.
Let's toast, huh?
Yeah. Hey, to the new plane.
To the new plane.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Cheers.
To the delivery of the Bonanza.
Yeah.
Cheers, toast.
This is probably the best welcome that I've ever had, delivering airplanes. These people have just been so incredibly generous and excited, and you know, this is a passion of his. That's one of the fun parts about delivering some of these smaller planes. He's going to be using this, him and his wife and his family, coming to the ranch, just like what we did here, and it was just a great welcome.
Oh, we're going to be like that, are we?
Over Africa, a run of bad luck has finally turned around for Randy McGehee and Dave Matheson.
195, we picked up a couple knots.
Not great, but I'll take it.
They started this flight with just 23 minutes of fuel to spare, what pilots call fuel critical. But Mother Nature's thrown them a bone, a tailwind that lets them ease up on the throttle and use less fuel.
Every knot helps. Try to squeeze 200 knots out of this thing if we can. 197.
To bleed every ounce of mileage from the Dornier, Randy and Dave need to work this plane super efficiently.
I mean, we look like we're trimmed out perfect, so our drag's as low profile as possible. We got up as cool as we can, gives us cool engines, less fuel flow, off our engine second, better range and endurance. I can't think of anything else we can do right now. We really got to start calculating that fuel. We're already losing our tailwind.
Speeds dropped to 193. Damn it.
That's not what we want to see.
Damn it. We're down to 300 pounds reserve right now. But that's doing direct. That's not with all this horse they got us going.
Even with every fuel-saving trick in the book, the detours ordered by air traffic control have been sucking the gas.
300 pounds of fuel left, which means we have 15 minutes.
15 minutes of spare fuel leaves them no margin for error.
We've lost another 3 knots already since you started this fuel calculation. Everything's trending against us right now. We're losing time, we're losing airspeed, we're burning more fuel. It's not looking real good.
And the view out their front windscreen is worse.
Look at this, man. Get it.
In Africa, storms can be sudden and fierce. Randy's about to get his first taste.
We can't go around that. We're gonna have to pick our way through it.
The plane is too low on fuel to dodge this storm. They have to hit it head on.
Bro, that's bad.
Doesn't feel that bad.
Dude, that is lightning.